All right, we are live. This is episode 8, Legacy Lounge Story Time. So, for those tuning in, you have me, the commissioner, Tino Gordon, Sylvia Blue, Fancy Daily. Y'all want to say hi and want to introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Sylvia Blue. I'm the wealth strategist with Prosperous Enterprise. Fancy.
Hola, Fancy Daily, the lady who talk crazy, your neighborhood hood reporter about all the things that are relevant and real with financial strategies, know-hows, and what we need to do. I'm here for you.
All right. So, today we're going to keep it nice, cool, casual, calm, cool, collected. We're just going to share some stories. Usually we're talking about numbers and everything, but people are like, hey, what do these numbers really mean? How does it impact my life directly? So, we're just going to have a conversation. It's called the Legacy Lounge. So lay back, relax, enjoy yourself, grab a cup of coffee, whatever you like to drink in the mornings or around this time, whenever you're watching it. And let's just have a good time, okay? All right. So I know before the show, some of the things that we were talking about were the successes and the failures of things that we've seen in the industry, especially with our clients, success stories of our clients, and then failures for people who did not take the wisdom and the advice that we give them. Because, sometimes people don't want to listen to the licensed professionals, and they get what they get. Anybody want to share any of those stories just to really kick us off and start us off?
Nothing in particular. I don't think it's something that's uncommon, though. We've seen cosmetologists like, I'm a beautician, not a musician. Now that you done went home and did what you went to, or you went around the corner and down the block, now you want to come to me to fix things. You know what I mean? Same thing with doctors, right? And so in our field, all too many times, we end up in the same position, whether it's about price, when we had a better value, right? People buy policies that are very cheap and they get what they pay for, and then they have to pay for it again, right? Just like being ignorant is very expensive, being cheap is very expensive. And so our industry as professionals is just like any other professional industry. You always got the hard head knuckleheads that don't listen, and then they come back and want you to fix it.
That is so true. So true. Oh man, you said being cheap is expensive. Yeah, so I know in our industry, one of the things people like to do is try to see if they could, what's that, bundle, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they try to get with a company that could
And
bundle.
they fumble with the bundle.
Yeah.
I'm just say it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I'm gonna say this. Sometimes your home and your auto have nothing to do with your life. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I think that's profound. I think that when we're talking about something that we know is a for sure thing, because when we talk about home and auto, you may never use your homeowner's insurance. You may never use your auto insurance. You for sure going to use your life insurance. Don't nobody make it out of this thing called life alive. So when we're talking about things like that, we do not go to a general practitioner or a family doctor for a toothache. We go into the specialist. In this panel of people, we are the specialists when it comes to your life insurance. So that's not something you want to gamble with because you got a deal. You're going to pay later. And it's always greater later and not in a good way.
I mean, it can be in a good way. It can be in a good way if you spoke to us first.
Right. No, I'm saying right. If they paid for the bundle, I call it fumble, right? And you got the cheap thing, right? Because we know, and I'll speak to it. There are policies that people feel really good about having because they're very inexpensive, but they didn't know, they didn't have access to the money. They didn't know that it was going to expire, that they could outlive the policy. There's a lot of caveats to that, where when they get something that may be substantially more, there's a greater value. Now you've privatized your pension, you have access to your money. If you get sick or hurt, it's readily available. It's never going to expire. You can't lose money. You can only make money, but you wanted to save $15 or $120 a year.
And how much is that $15 going to cost you?
Overall, at the end, it's greater later, right? And once again, like we say, I don't think people are stupid. They're just ignorant. They may not know what their options are. So in speaking of professionals, sometimes you get a second opinion. And in this industry, it's not the worst thing to do it. We all do policy review. We don't necessarily say, hey, you got to come with us.
Yeah.
This is what you should buy, right? We break it down. We look over it. We've all been in the industry a very long time. So a lot of companies and that either we're currently with or used to be with, we have the insight to say this is exactly what this is. I know it sounds like this, but that's not by design. That's by design, not by default. They want you to think it means that. But as a professional, we can tell them what it really means and what it'll do.
And the question is to that, Fancy, once people get these policies, how many people actually read through their policy and know what they actually have? You know, they just go off the word of the person. Besides you, Tino. They just go off the word of the person that sold them the policy.
Yeah.
And yes, it's good to trust who you're buying from, but in the same token, you need to have an understanding yourself. And I think that's where a lot of people fall short, is they don't take the time to get the understanding themselves.
Yeah, so that's what I do with my clients. I'm like, hey, you don't got to believe me. I'll put it right there on paper. It's right there on paper. We'll bring out the magnifying glass. If it's in fine print, make it real big for you.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you're taken care of.
And that's that confidence in your product. You know what I'm saying? That's the confidence in knowing what you're selling people, and you're just not selling people anything just to make money.
I think another major thing for that is that all too many times we've dealt with conglomerates, with bundle companies for whatever thing. Then we got a question about that thing. Say I do take the time to read it over and I discover there's something I'm not clear on. And I get on the phone and I want to talk to somebody. What is that like nowadays, right? Is there a language barrier? I got to go through AI prompts. You know what I mean? As opposed to having somebody who recognizes what your goal is for the money, who you want it to affect, what you want to be done with it. And this is a person that your beneficiary can directly reach out to, right? Have a civilized conversation about with the beneficiary, because they talk to you, right? So they understand and have a compassion. So that's another thing. When you're going with these bundle companies to save $5 or $10, what you're facing. Sylvia, you spoke to people not knowing what's in the policy. How many times have we talked to people, they don't know the name of the company they with? They don't know where that policy at.
Don't know
how much coverage they have.
Yeah.
Talk to it.
Don't know what kind of coverage they have.
Now they don't know that. But now when your loved one is faced with this burden, trying to process that you're not coming back, they're never gonna hear your voice on the other end of the phone. They got to ramble through all your stuff. Meanwhile, life don't stop. They got to go to work. They got whatever they're going through, right? There's so many things, but you wanted the bundle. You know what I mean? Like, and then they come to us. So the benefit is that with us being career agents and being here, we've all probably experienced where, you know, whether we approach people or people have approached us and we didn't complete the process. One thing about them tables, they always turn. They always come back. And we with it. We're going to welcome you. We still going to help you. It's going to be a little bit more because you waited. And that ain't on me. That's on the insurance company. But I got you.
Hey, that reminds me of so this story that happened to someone kind of near and dear to me. I spoke to them a few years back, like let's just say maybe 3, 4, 5 years back, was telling them about a certain policy that they needed. And they were just like, nah, you know, that's too much. It's too much. And really, you know, they didn't take advantage of it. You know, so now fast forward to today. Fast forward to today's time. Hey, I get a phone call. Hey, you know, so-and-so just got diagnosed with this illness. We need to find coverage. Can you help me out? You know, my mind went back to, you know, when I was telling them. And then just now I'm like, okay, how do I help them? Because they're going to be a guaranteed issue, meaning a 2-year waiting period. You know, if they pass away before the 2 years, the only thing they'll get is the money that they put into it.
That's right.
Plus the percentage. And the same quote, you know, for the same amount of coverage they could have gotten 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it is now the premium, the monthly payment is like 5 times the amount. So,
Yep. One thing I like to say is that when we're talking about these bundle companies, For the most part, if we're talking about like auto insurance, you might shop and compare and contrast a few different companies, right? They're all looking at the same criteria. With life insurance, I like to say, you don't choose your life insurance company. They choose you,
Yeah.
right? Just like if you want to get a desktop approval for a mortgage, if you want to apply for a subsidy, there's a means test. And with life insurance, these people are looking at the fact that are you closer to death or further away, right? And so people wait until they're closer to death or they have an incident that jolts them into reality, like I might check out of this thing anytime soon, right? Now you want the coverage. Well, now you got to pay to play in a whole nother way because they're betting, and based on the research that they have and the powers to be actuary tables, it's much more likely that you're going to pass away than not, now that you got that in your records.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things that I like doing with clients is especially calling their company on the phone, putting them on speakerphone. And then I say, one of the reasons why you want to have somebody like me is because I'm a broker. I have contracts with all different companies, not just one. But let's call your company. And then I put on my little lawyer suit, get a little fancy, get a little dressed up. And then once the client gives the company permission to speak to me, I go into straight lawyer mode. I start asking them all these questions. And I remember one time the person on the other end of the phone, the customer service representative for that company, said, "You're better off just going and doing whatever what Tino tells you." And I was like, "No further questions, Your Honor."
Exactly. And listen, and we've all had that experience when we call the company and you can see it and feel it on the client. They feel so, I won't say embarrassed, but they're taken aback. Yeah. They've been paying for this. It was something they was feeling good about. And I tell them, you should. You're doing the right thing. Your money just going to the wrong place, right? We've all had that experience. And it's a bittersweet feeling. It's sweet because we get to save them and show, but also it doesn't feel good that, they were not with a broker like us. And the only thing that person could give them was what they had to offer, but it just didn't suit their needs.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't go to the Toyota dealership looking for a Ferrari.
No, you probably shouldn't. You could, but it might not work. Or, I like to say, we're like Target. You go in Target and you want a jar of jelly, it's different brands, flavors, prices, right? But if you go to, maybe I shouldn't say jelly, but bread. If you go to the bakery, you go to Hostess, you only going to get Hostess bakery bread, right? Whereas opposed to you go somewhere else, you get the multi-grain, you get the Aunt Millie's, you get the butter top, you get the, right? And so that's who we are. We're able to ensure that based on your goals, we're able to give you the product that is most likely going to ensure that you reach those goals instead of one-stop shopping. But
did you just name a bunch of different types of bread?
What you talking? I'm about the bread. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm about bread.
I was like, man, do I pass up all that bread when I go down the aisle?
It's a lot. Like everything, saturation is not even a thing anymore because there are so many different variables for everything, right? Insurance included. So you are doing yourself a great disservice by not dealing with a broker and someone who can shop for you to ensure that you're getting the best rate and the best value simultaneously.
Hey, that's beautifully put. Beautifully put.
Thanks.
So let me ask you this. What is the thing that keeps you going in this business?
Me specifically?
Mm-hmm.
I care about people. I originated in the medical field and I had a snafu that as a new mother, it scared me. I had to be quarantined. It put me in a position. And so I was like, you know what? I like helping people, but I might have to find a way to do this across the kitchen table or hands off or whatever the case may be. So that was my transition. It kind of made me figure out a different way. And being in the medical field was imperative to me because physical health, right? But then I started to realize how vitally important financial health is and how in certain communities, just like with physical health, it's not put at the forefront, right? We don't know how to eat to live, right? We eat because it tastes good or because this is what we were fed. And it's all transcending with our financial health as well. If you came from parents who didn't have these conversations, or this is not something that was at the forefront in your community or with your education, you're just unaware. No longer do we have to be unaware, not with us living in the times that we're living in. And so for me to be a part of that is something I could feel good about. Like I could sell shoes, I could sell hair. I love babies, right? I could open up a daycare. But the long run is I'll let them do that part. But what I'm going to do is structure a policy for this baby to ensure that by the time they're my age, they're a trust fund child. They have a second source of income that they never had to pay into. In my mind, that's a little bit heavier and something that's a little bit more rewarding for me.
Okay. What about you, Sylvia?
So for me, just like Fancy, I do care. Experiencing different things in life has developed a great compassion for other people not to experience those things. So for me, it's just knowing that you don't have to settle and you don't have to be stuck in your life. And like Fancy said, like the financial aspect of your life has such a great impact on every other part of your life that people really don't understand. That if you're financially good, the rest of your life kind of falls into place. Like it spills over. Like, have you ever noticed when, I don't know, it could just be me, but when my money ain't right, you know,
Come on now.
everything else starts to be affected. You know what I'm saying? So for me, just knowing that I have the tools and the resources to help other people not be in that position. I wish everybody would listen, but you know, we can't save everybody. But as long as I can help one family, two families, and also I've been on the other side of the death part. And thank God my children's father did have life insurance that I didn't know he had. He had just started a job. I don't even think he was on the job 6 months, and he died in a car accident. And so, you know, most of the time, if you die in an accident, the policy doubles, depending on, you know, what type of policy you have. He had 25, it doubled because he died in a car accident. So that was 50. But going through the process of, because I was left as the beneficiary and I was 20. So to have to go through that process, and what if I did not have, or what if he didn't have that policy? Just knowing that the impact that people feel, like you don't want to have that financial burden while you're grieving, especially when it's unexpected. I had small kids at the time. You know, I don't know what the outcome would have been if he didn't have that policy. You know, having to deal with my kids were 4, 2, and 4 months.
Wow.
And I was 20 dealing with my 2 oldest kids' dad passing away. And I wasn't working. Together, he was the breadwinner, and he was a provider for the household. So if I did not have that, look, it's not a lot, you know, 50,000 is not a lot, especially, you know, once you take care of the funeral and you still have to live after. People forget you have to live after, you know, especially if you're responsible for certain people. But I just thank God that he had that policy. But just being on that side of it, that compassion for people, that I never want anybody to have to go through that. So having compassion for people and not wanting them to feel like they have to stay stuck. You don't have to stay stuck financially, because there's so many. Y'all done open the floodgates now. It's so many other things that you can do if you don't make enough money. You know, you could tap into your credit. A lot of people don't understand that your credit could say you could not have a dime and have an 800 credit score, and you could take that 800 credit score and create income. People don't know that. So just knowing that these different tools and resources, you really don't have to be stuck in your situation, and just knowing that that would actually, like, you could literally change the information that we have. It's life changing for real.
It is.
Mm.
But I'm gonna stop there. Y'all go ahead.
Man, you said so much, Sylvia. Like, where do I even begin? Man, you know, the compassion, definitely one thing. The story that you shared about what you went through, you know, you're saying you experienced that at 20. You know, people just keep thinking like, oh, it's for when I'm older, and oh, it's just for when I die. But really, people don't understand that when you die, everybody don't die with you. You know,
That
people
part.
that you leave behind, and they still have to live. Life insurance is for the living. You know, the person who passed away can't share that story. They don't know what you experienced after they were gone. So, man, that's a major impact. And fortunate enough that they had that, because your life could be
Babies. He had
different.
them babies. Them was his babies. He just said, you know. But Commissioner, you have to share with us what made you.
Yeah, so there's so many stories that come to mind for me, like experiencing deaths of family. So I had a family member who passed away when I was a teenager, and I remember going up to the funeral director and just asking him, how much did this whole funeral cost? And
because that's Pino, right, Sylvia? Because that's
right.
the number, I was just like, what? Man, that was a lot of money. And I'm sitting there going like, hey, that was money that we could have used to live off of and do a little bit more. But it was the first time I've seen a colored tombstone, especially with a picture of the person, and their face was in full color too. I was just blown away. I was blown away by that. But so one thing that came to mind with the stories that both of you shared is that, you know, I read this quote the other day that said the cost of living is costing us living, you know, something like that. Like the cost of living is costing you your life, something along those lines. And again, it's just the fact that the cost of living is constantly going up, you know. So one of the reasons why I do this is because I really and truly want everybody to enjoy life. You know, especially when we talk about the legacy part, is how do you want to be remembered? What impact do you want to leave on the lives of other people? Now, Sylvia, with your children's father, if he didn't have that insurance, I'm sure you would remember him in an entirely different way. Like, my goodness, I can't imagine like the people who have the opposite story that you have, and when they think about their loved ones, it's like that memory is tarnished a little bit with the pain and the struggle, because it's like, did you leave them a bill or did you leave them
a will?
Or a will, yeah.
Either leave a bill or a will. That life insurance policy is a will. It's a will that allows her to take a breath, get her mind ready. She had a brand new baby, 4 months old, not to mention toddlers. You understand? And Sylvia, you said it wasn't a lot of money, but one thing I always tell my clients, a little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing, especially at a time like that. Some people get discouraged because they have not been educated. They've waited too late. But you think your loved one would rather have that $10,000 or no? Because they got to go back to work. The employer don't care nothing about, like, build a bridge, get over it, come back to work with a smile. Okay. Like, and that's what it is. And as humans, we don't work like that. If you're on a job where law enforcement, and not only say you were in a position where, you know, you had to unalive somebody or you were privy to something like that, they tell you go sit down, right? Like, there's mental things that go into it, where it's 7 stages of grief and things like that. And just because, you know, you got to keep the lights on and you got to keep groceries, like, it doesn't alleviate the grief. It doesn't alleviate the mental anguish, the longing for your person, the way that you have to, you know, try to process that they're not coming by no more. You're not going to hear their voice. They're not, if you call their phone, they're not going to answer. In all your life, in a lot of instances, these are people that always answered when you when you called, you know, or you've never lived a point in your life without them, or you were just with them. I knew someone, their significant other passed away in the bed right next to them. You keep the bed? Do you live in that house? Or do you have the means and the money to, you know what I mean, kind of start anew to give yourself a breather? 10,000, 12,000, 20,000 comes in handy in that instance. You know what I mean? So it's just a very important thing. And Sophia says something that was so important as well about credit. People get credit is important. They understand that they're able to leverage other people's money. What they forget is that life insurance allows you to do the same thing. It allows you to leverage other people's money. Because if you make one payment, be it $150, $250, and you pass away, they're paying the whole thing to your people immediately, whoever your named beneficiary is.
Mm-hmm.
You're leveraging other people's money.
I was talking to somebody recently, and they were saying how much taxes do I have to pay on that money? And I was like, none. It was just like, what? You mean I'm going to pay this thing, and when this happens, I'm going to get the whole thing? Yeah, you will get the whole thing.
I would have loved to ask her, well, not ask her, but compare and contrast with the 401k, that nest egg that people are putting away. We know, historically, taxes have never gone down. They only go up. And so it sounds like you're saving for someone else. It sounds like you were told, hey, in your non-working years, you're going to need income, so you should set this money aside. And then when you approach that threshold, they say, let me holler at you, dog. Let me holler at you. What are the taxes going to be then? So you've built up all this money for who? For them or for you?
Mm-hmm. Just like you need to eat to live, you're going to need to save and invest to live too.
Oh, that's major. That's major.
Yeah, I just came up with that.
That's a word. That's a word. That is a word. That is real. Absolutely. And we've seen it, in our demographic, or I should say in our age group. I like to say, like, we're the sandwich generation, because some of us still have our parents, right? A lot of our parents still need help. And then we have our children. And our children need our help. All the time we helping ourselves, right? We have to, right? So when you're able to leverage other people's money, be it credit, be it life insurance, you're positioning yourself in the best way possible and truly showing your love. Everybody talking about, I die for mine. Why don't you live for them? Yeah. We don't want you to die. Stick around. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You gotta die.
We need you to stick around also to pay the premium. Look, $25 on the child. Your child don't need you to die for them. Your child needs you to pay that $25 a week or a month or whatever to turn them into a millionaire.
That's right. That's right.
Don't die.
I think that's great for you, Sylvia, with the position that you're in, being able to help people with credit as well as taxes. Ideally, it seems like to me that people would take advantage of that return, right? Because you've given the government interest-free loan for the entirety of the year, right? Now, how can you put that money to work for you? They made it work for them. You done stimulated the economy. It's time for you to stimulate your own personal financial economy. So if we just start to look at things differently, structure things differently, and the contributions that we have, place them in the proper financial vehicles, we turn this whole thing around. We can turn it all around.
Yeah, and I think people get stuck in survival mode.
Absolutely.
So because they're stuck in survival mode, they just want to hold on to what they have, instead of putting it in, just like, in the Bible,
Bury the talents.
Listen, I want to hold on to it so that I know that I have this here in case something happens. But really, if you hold on to it, is it growing?
And anything that's not growing is dying. So you're losing value on that money, the current, whatever it is.
And then if you just take it, I want to pay up my bills. I want to pay up my bills for a certain period of time. I have so many people that do that with their tax return. Yeah, that's a good thing. But I just feel like you're stuck in survival mode. Like you're not building anything. Because once you pay that money, you're not getting anything back from it.
It's gone.
It's gone. Hey,
so check this out. I just found out there's this little tip. For those who need it and need to use it for your bills, like your light bills, your utility companies and stuff. If you call them and be like, hey, I'm sending in the check, they'll keep it on. Just let them know that the check is in the mail and on the way. however much time that buys you, you know.
Tino, that's dope. I thought he was going somewhere else with that.
Let's play out there. Just
I thought he was going somewhere else. He like, let me put y'all on the game.
I say that to really say this. Pay yourself first. You need the money more than the electric company needs the money.
Okay.
They got all them other customers. You only got one you. Pay yourself first. You know, tell them the money's on the way. They'll keep the lights on for you like Motel 6.
Hey,
you know, just keep going. Like get out of survival mode and get into that thriving mode. One of the things recently that I experienced is just going to a nice very high-end restaurant. I walked in, we sat down, and I was just like, the atmosphere around here is just peaceful. You know, when you're surrounded in environments where people are thriving and it's just relaxed, like, you know, you don't really have to be on your guard because nobody's going to try to scam you. It's not like they're going to try to take you out. It's just everybody's nice and friendly and smiling. And I was like, oh, it made me realize there's certain levels that I still need to go to improve because I'm a little bit on guard. I'm like, why are you talking to me? You know?
Well, my level, that sounds like Target versus Walmart.
Oh,
like, don't come over to Target with all that. You know what I'm saying? The buggies don't squeak. It's cool. We can smell Starbucks. Things are clean. You know what I mean? So just that level differentiates everything.
Yeah, you know, and it was funny because I went into one little store out here. I was expecting somebody to watch me walk around, you know, do the little thing. And it was just like, hey, how you doing? I was
nice.
You know,
nice,
good time.
I think everything, like Sylvia said, is connected because, you know, you're finding everything's connected mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. But your attitude is different. So right, so that lowers your stress. Right, you're eating different. You're able to eat a better quality of food, which has a great effect on all things considered. Right now, you're not using derogatory words, terms to people you love, be it your children, or you have a little bit more patience. You know, all of these things affect your legacy. That's small, but because you're not in survival mode, you can actually start to thrive. It allows for all of those changes, positive changes, to be made.
One thing I will say, with some past experience I've had over the last few days, I finally understand the 7 and 8 course meal. You know, before it was like, hey, this ain't enough food, you know, but I get it now. Them little like, oh, we're going to start you off with the first course and the second course and the third course. And, you know, each thing is only like a little, it ain't a whole meal, but yo, I could not understand why people would pay extreme amounts of what I thought was extreme amounts of money for just this little bit of a bite. Like, you know,
decoration. You like this decoration on my plate, but it's
the ambiance. Y'all use the food as artwork, but where's the food that we can eat? And then like, that is the food. You're like, what? But man, finally, I finally got it. It finally clicked. Like, I would say if you can experience that, please go do it. Just, I don't know, make sure you got
like something like that. See, I like an experience, right? I like to have an experience, and you know, you go to certain calibers, and I'm like you now. I don't play with food, as you can see. I'm trying to get to it, and I got a water waiter. I have a regular drink waiter. I'm like, look now. Don't ask me how nothing else is. I don't know. I can't get to it. You know, I was just like overcome. But I love an experience where, you know, you're presenting the drink, everything. Like, I love the ambiance. It just helps your mentality, I think, overall. And it's like with anything else. Once you do, like, you ain't trying to go backwards.
Yeah.
I don't want that no more. You want to keep going up.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that because I want every meal to be 7 or 8 courses like that. Nah, I'm not trying to do that.
Right.
But to experience it is nice. It is nice. I will say that. So, y'all got any other things happening in life right now that y'all want to share, talk about? Any other stories? Good, bad, ugly?
Not that I'd like to do.
I got some ideas though. I see.
What was that?
I said, I see your face. What you got?
Nothing in particular. I'd like to rather show than tell, but all good things, all good things. I'm constantly attempting to evolve in my craft and be able to present to my clients more than just life insurance, because life insurance is not the beginning or the end of financial health and financial products. And so as a collective, right, we all have things to offer beyond that, to protect it, to grow it, to provide residual income, to provide tax-free income, to structure children to be in a position that is much better than what we started from, and things like that. So I'm looking forward for myself and us collectively to be able to have conversations about that, present that, and make people aware, and coach them to the greatness of utilizing those things as well.
Yeah, that made me think, because we're just one piece of the puzzle, and it made me think that I'm going to start wearing like a white lab coat and like pulling out the paper and like, I'm going to write you a referral. You need to go see Sylvia. We got your life insurance straight. Now you need to go see Sylvia, get your credit. Here's my little recommendation to see the specialist. Hand them that little slip.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about, collaborating, because we can't individually do everything. So knowing that we're connected and we have a network of people, beyond us that can help our clientele to actually get to the best financial version of themselves that they can, because not even the best version of themselves, because everything really goes hand in hand with their finances. And if they say money doesn't matter, that's a lie.
Yeah.
That's a lie. Because money does matter. You need money for everything. So I just feel like people really need to tap into that and take it more seriously. That if you are not where you want to be, that is not your ending place. Like, you can always change it.
Yeah, you don't have to come from a wealthy family for a wealthy family to come from you.
Love that.
Come on, Tino.
Love that. Talk to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the goal. There has to be somebody who takes the first step, who starts. Somebody got to start the race, get as far as you can, run as fast as you can, and then pass the baton. That's really it. Everybody talk about, people had a 400-year head start. Where are you running right now? Are you even running?
Are you putting your kids in the race? You putting your people in the race? Or are you about to keep standing still talking about what happened yesteryear? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. You're going to keep being a spectator?
Right.
Keep getting and just getting lapped. Like, yo. And the thing is, it's not, the money isn't even the end all be all. It's the options that it presents and creates.
Oh, the
options. Again, when you get into your older years, you're either going to have a handful of wishes or you're going to have options. The whole coulda, shoulda, woulda, you can't spend that.
Nope.
That ain't going to create anything for you. It's going to just cause a whole lot of regret. And that's not something that I want for my life. Even, again, if I'm not the one to be able to use all the wealth that was created and use it for my own pleasure and enjoyment, at the very least, this is what I want. I want one of them big old school portraits, them life-size portraits, like George Washington. I want me to be up there, like,
Like, oil painting? You'd like an oil painting,
oil painting, like that picture of Napoleon on the white horse and something like that.
The nice thick framing. You're gonna have a show. Have a scroll. How you gonna represent? You're gonna have a
me with the blue and gold. I want a gold frame, maybe a blue background. I want a nice
Why Tino had that written out his
a top hat or something. Yeah. They're gonna be like, that's old great grandpappy Tino. He started it all.
That's what's up. Listen, we're laughing about that, but that is something that actually happens in other cultures and families.
Yeah. It's gonna happen for me. It's gonna happen.
That's right.
Yep. And I want a hallway, a big long hallway.
Not a photo shoot. You're gonna be in the Rolls, the Bentley. How you gonna set it up?
I need at least 4 paintings of me, and then maybe the kids can come afterwards.
That's dope. I remember a story. I'll close this out. I don't want to keep us too long, but there was a person who had things structured so properly. Oh, I can't remember. It was either their death anniversary or their birthday, but the family annually had an all expense paid. There was funds set aside, and they would go on a trip. Right,
Okay.
this was everybody's vacation already pre-planned for, not SeaWorld, you know, nothing like that, but like take my grandchildren and my everybody, like they're leaving the country, right? They're going to Egypt, they're doing things like that, and it's paid for. And so the family, you know, of course, they created their own tradition. I don't know if that was written in, but they would stop and pay homage. Like they wouldn't be able to do that without that person being the forerunner to have the discipline to, well, I don't know if it was discipline, right? But whatever they did to think about their legacy and set things up accordingly. I would love to do something like that.
That's huge.
It's major. It's major. And they'd be like, my G mommy was a beast. She was
I'm
out
talking about
cold.
an experience after you're gone. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Turn your birthday into a family holiday. No.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? You know? They'd be like, my G mommy was a city girl and she left us this. She had these like Megan.
Mm-hmm.
Or
And
something like that.
Then that means your children and your grandchildren and your great grandchildren don't have to work for money. They could be like, yo, it's my grandparents' birthday. I'm out. Deuces.
For
Where you
real.
going? That's a national holiday. Yes.
Okay. Religious purposes, if you will. You call it whatever you want to. But me and my hours, we out.
Mm.
Legacy.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Sylvia, you got anything you want to say to close us out?
You would start with me.
Well, Fancy got hers, so
Yeah, it's just so much. It's just so much to say because like I just feel like people are asleep. I need folks to wake up. You know, like I was saying last week, people are still stuck in the pandemic. They're still stuck pre-pandemic, and really don't understand that everything has changed and we're still not prepared and we're still operating the same way. And we can't do that. We can't stay stuck because it's not just affecting you. It's affecting everybody behind you and everybody connected to you. And that's something that keeps me going. You know, those days that I want to give up, I think about the people connected to me.
mm-hmm.
And if I give up, how is that going to affect them?
Right.
So, yeah, we got some stuff in store. So I'm just excited.
Enough.
What's that?
I was being silly. I was back on my Mike Jackson like before the meeting. I said, "Don't stop till you get enough."
Yeah,
But
we got some stuff in store. So stay
a great man and friend of mine would usually say, I want to see you at the top, not from the top. Yeah. That's enough said. We can close it out with that. See you at the top, not from the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope this brought some type of joy, value, peace, and love to you. Let you know that you do have options. You know, you got these 3 people that you see right here. Contact each and every one of us. We're here to help you. And with that being said, we are out. Enjoy your day.
Till next time.